Gentlemen, there's a hidden truth you might be ignoring, and it's closer than you think. If she's overreacting, there's a reason, and it might be because she's hiding something. Today, I'm revealing 9 reasons why she's overreacting, and each one could point to something much darker than you realize. If you want to uncover the secrets she's trying to keep from you, hit like, subscribe, and drop your city in the comments. You won't want to miss what comes next. These signs are right in front of you, and I'll show you exactly how to spot them before it's too late. Reason 1. Protecting her alibi. Have you noticed her sudden defensiveness when you ask about her whereabouts or daily activities? Protecting her alibi is one of the first signs that something is amiss. A woman who is hiding an affair will react strongly to any question about her routine because she's constantly trying to protect the story she's carefully constructed. When she overreacts or becomes overly detailed about where she's been and what she's doing, it's often a sign that she's trying to cover up something she doesn't want you to discover. In everyday situations, this can look like her snapping at you when you ask about something minor. If you ask her where she went for an errand or what she did during her girls' night, her response might be exaggerated, defensive, or even hostile. She might insist she was just doing something trivial, but the tone in her voice makes it feel like you're accusing her of something. This defensive behavior is a way to throw you off the scent while she hides the truth. Another key indicator is how she responds when you ask her for details. A woman protecting an alibi will often provide too many specifics to make the story seem more convincing. She might tell you exactly what time she left, who she met, and what they did, even when such details are irrelevant. It's almost as if she's rehearsing the explanation, trying to create a believable cover. What makes this defense so convincing is that it's so over the top. The more she tries to cover up, the more it makes you question whether she's hiding something deeper. And here's where it gets even more telling. The next sign often appears when she starts to deflect your questions or shift the conversation back onto you. The need to keep the focus off her becomes desperate, and that shift is a major indicator of guilt. Reason 2. Emotional guilt projection. Have you noticed that she often turns small, harmless issues into arguments? Emotional guilt projection is one of the most common but subtle signs that she may be hiding something. When a woman feels guilty about an affair, she may project that guilt onto you by exaggerating your flaws or creating tension out of nowhere. This tactic shifts the focus away from her behavior and onto you, making it difficult for you to see what's really going on. In everyday life, this might look like her suddenly accusing you of being too controlling or too suspicious when you ask a simple question. Even a casual conversation might escalate into a heated argument over trivial matters, things you'd never have thought about before. She might get defensive over something minor, like forgetting to pick up groceries or not calling her during the day. These overreactions are often a distraction from the real issue. She's trying to avoid confronting her own guilt. What makes this even more dangerous is that it shifts your attention. Instead of focusing on the changes in her behavior or the red flags you've noticed, you're now worried about her accusations and the tension she's creating. She's able to maintain the illusion of control over the situation, while you're left questioning yourself and your reactions. The key to spotting emotional guilt projection is in the escalation. Notice if the arguments are disproportionately large compared to the issue at hand, if she's suddenly picking fights over nothing, or if every question you ask seems to be met with an accusation, you're likely dealing with someone who is deflecting. And the worst part, her guilt doesn't just end with words, it's also reflected in her body language. The next sign will show how her physical cues betray what she's truly feeling. Once you see these subtle signs, it becomes clear just how much she's trying to hide. Reason 3. Gaslighting tactics. Have you ever felt like she's making you question your own perception of reality? Gaslighting tactics is one of the most manipulative ways she can cover up her affair. Gaslighting is a psychological tactic where she denies facts, twists the truth, or plants seeds of doubt in your mind making you second-guess everything you know. When she's cheating, she'll use this technique to throw you off her scent and make you believe that your instincts or suspicions are wrong. In everyday life, gaslighting can look like her denying things you know to be true. Maybe you saw a message from a strange number or noticed her acting oddly, and when you bring it up, she'll act like you're imagining things. "You're overreacting," she might say, or "I never said that," when you know she did. She'll convince you that your perception of events is flawed, all while keeping her secret hidden. Another key sign of gaslighting is when she downplays your feelings. If you bring up how something made you uncomfortable, she'll minimize it or tell you that you're too sensitive. This shifts the blame onto you, leaving you questioning your own reactions and emotions. It's a tactic that shifts focus away from her actions and onto your perceived shortcomings. What makes gaslighting so dangerous is that it erodes your confidence. It makes you feel like you're crazy or paranoid for noticing things that don't add up. The more she twists the truth, the less likely you are to trust your instincts, and that's exactly what she wants. But gaslighting isn't the only weapon she has in her arsenal. The next tactic she uses is just as subtle but much more damaging. The next sign will show how she manipulates her surroundings to create the illusion of innocence. Once you spot this, it will all start to make sense. Reason 4: excessive justification. Have you noticed how she suddenly becomes overly detailed when explaining the smallest things? Excessive justification is a classic reaction when she's hiding an affair. When guilty, a person will often overcompensate by explaining themselves in way too much detail, trying to create a believable story to cover their tracks. The more she justifies the ordinary, the more it signals that there's something extraordinary being hidden. In real life, this might appear when you ask her about simple things, like what she did today or how her meeting went, and she goes into extreme detail. She might mention the exact time she left, who she spoke to, the order of events, and even the color of the shirt she was wearing. While such details seem innocent, the over-explanation makes it clear that she's overcompensating for something. Another red flag is when she gives you more information than you asked for, or when she provides specific details that feel unnecessary. For example, she might tell you how much she spent on something, who she ran into at a store, or the exact time she came home, all with a sense of urgency, as though she's trying to convince you of her innocence. This kind of excessive justification is a desperate attempt to make her story more believable, even when the facts don't quite add up. The danger here is that it can seem completely normal at first, especially if she seems helpful or even transparent. But when the need to justify her every action becomes a regular pattern, it signals that she's covering something deeper. And here's the kicker. This pattern of over-explaining doesn't just involve her schedule or actions. The next sign reveals how she tries to deflect your attention by twisting your perception of reality itself. Once you catch on to this, everything she's been hiding will start to unravel. Reason 5: emotional withdrawal. Have you noticed her becoming distant or emotionally unavailable lately? Emotional withdrawal is a powerful sign that she might be hiding something, especially an affair. When she's cheating, she starts to mentally and emotionally detach from you, often without even realizing it. This distance can be subtle at first, but over time, it creates a growing gap in your connection. In everyday situations, emotional withdrawal manifests as a lack of interest in shared moments or meaningful conversation. She might stop sharing how her day went, cut off intimate chats, or show less enthusiasm about things that once excited her. When you try to engage her in a personal conversation, she might respond with short, non-committal answers like, "I'm fine," or "nothing special happened." This sudden disinterest is her way of distancing herself while she becomes emotionally attached to someone else. Another sign of emotional withdrawal is a decrease in affection. Small gestures that used to happen naturally, holding hands, hugging, or even just a kiss goodbye, become rare or forced. She may act polite, but the warmth and connection you once shared start to fade. If you've noticed her becoming more distracted, less affectionate, or more easily irritated by your attempts to connect, this emotional detachment may be the reason. What makes this so difficult to spot is that it often comes across as stress or burnout. She might claim to be tired or overwhelmed, leaving you to assume the problem is external, not internal. But when this emotional withdrawal becomes a regular part of your relationship, the cause is likely something deeper, such as guilt over her hidden actions. The worst part? Emotional withdrawal often leads to a defensive reaction when confronted. The next sign you need to watch for is how she turns that defensive energy inward, using selective friendships to shield her secrets. Once you start noticing who's becoming involved in her life, the truth will start to reveal itself. Reason 6. Controlling narrative through social presence. Have you noticed how she's become more meticulous about what she shares on social media or how she presents herself online? Controlling narrative through social presence is a powerful indicator that she may be hiding something, like an affair. When a woman is trying to keep a secret, she becomes highly aware of her public image and will go to great lengths to manage what others see. The more she's controlling her narrative, the more you should question what she's concealing. In everyday life, this can show up in small but telling behaviors. She might suddenly become more active on social media, posting pictures or updates at very specific times. But these posts often feel curated. She only shares happy moments or creates an image of herself that seems too polished or planned. She may even post things that seem out of character or overly enthusiastic, as though she's trying to appear carefree and fully in control of her life. Another clue is how she interacts with her followers or friends online. She might start selectively liking certain people's posts, commenting with excessive positivity, or engaging in private conversations with people you don't know. These behaviors might seem harmless, but when she's hiding something, it's a way of maintaining a controlled narrative where everything appears normal to others. It gets even more telling if she suddenly becomes protective of her devices or accounts. She might claim her phone is private or work-related, but suddenly become defensive or dismissive when you ask about it. Even subtle changes, like new password-protected apps or social media accounts, are red flags indicating that she's compartmentalizing her online life to hide something. What's most alarming is that this control extends beyond social media. It seeps into how she interacts with you. The next sign, defensive storytelling, will show you how she manipulates the truth to keep you from uncovering her secret. Once you start seeing this pattern, it becomes clear just how far she's gone to cover her tracks. Reason 7. Phone and digital guarding. Have you noticed her becoming overly protective of her phone or digital devices? Phone and digital guarding is one of the most common, yet sneaky signs that she may be hiding an affair. When someone is being dishonest, especially about something as personal as infidelity, they will go to great lengths to guard their digital life, believing their devices are the one place they can keep secrets. In everyday life, this could manifest in subtle yet telling behaviors. She might start taking her phone with her everywhere, even to the bathroom or in the middle of the night. Or when you approach her while she's texting, she'll quickly lock her phone or turn the screen away from you. She could also start turning off her phone or placing it on airplane mode when she's around you, a sign that she's trying to hide something she doesn't want you to see. Another clue is when she gets unusually defensive or dismissive about any questions regarding her phone. She may claim it's work-related or that she doesn't want to share her passwords for privacy reasons, but these are all common tactics to deflect. If she suddenly gets irritated when you ask, or if she starts offering excuses like, "It's no big deal," or "You're being paranoid," that's a clear sign she's trying to cover her tracks. Her reaction might also change if you ask her to use her phone for something innocuous. A sudden refusal, or a quick defensive excuse, reveals how far she's willing to go to protect her devices. In many cases, cheaters go to great lengths to erase messages or hide call logs, making it difficult to track their activities. But this is just the surface. Selective friendships will be the next indicator that can help you piece together who she's confiding in and who is helping her keep her secret. Once you realize who's involved in the hidden parts of her life, everything will start to make sense. Reason 8. Schedule manipulation. Have you noticed her sudden shift in routine or frequent changes to her plans? Schedule manipulation is one of the most obvious yet often overlooked signs that she may be hiding an affair. When someone is hiding something, they often have to alter their schedule to accommodate secret meetings, late-night calls, or emotional energy directed elsewhere. The more her schedule seems to shift for no clear reason, the more likely she's covering up hidden activities. In everyday life, this could look like her suddenly having frequent work late nights, or claiming to be out with friends on nights you've always had together. She might even mention needing me time or personal space more than usual, often with little detail or explanation. When you ask for specifics about the time she was out, her responses might be vague or inconsistent. She could say she was out for one reason, but when you check with her friends or co-workers, their stories don't quite match. What makes schedule manipulation so dangerous is that it often appears entirely normal. Everyone has busy days or social commitments, but if these changes become regular or increasingly erratic, it's a clear sign she's trying to protect her secret life. Watch for recurring patterns, like the same vague alibi appearing on certain days or weeks. Another clue is when her plans always seem to involve people you don't know, or when she suddenly becomes unavailable at moments that would normally be routine for the two of you. She may say she needs to attend events or appointments that aren't familiar to you, or even take longer to return from errands than usual. The worst part? This pattern often grows as her secret becomes more entrenched. Grooming overdrive will be the next sign that reveals how she's physically preparing herself for these hidden encounters. When her appearance shifts as much as her schedule, you'll start seeing the full extent of what she's hiding. Reason 9. Fear of being caught. Have you noticed that her reactions to small, innocent questions seem exaggerated? Reason number 9. Fear of being caught is one of the most powerful yet subtle signs that she may be hiding an affair. The guilt and anxiety from maintaining a secret relationship often manifest in overreactions, especially when she feels the pressure of being exposed. Fear of being caught causes her to react disproportionately to anything she perceives as a potential threat to her secret, and that fear can spill over into everyday situations. In daily life, this fear shows up when her responses to even the most neutral topics seem exaggerated. A simple question, like asking how her day was or why she was late, might make her snap back with anger, defensiveness, or an oddly sharp tone. The more guilty she feels, the more she'll deflect, shout, or give you a cold, dismissive response. Her overreaction is an attempt to shut down the conversation quickly, redirecting your attention away from anything that might make her feel cornered. Her anxiety can also manifest in physical signs. If she starts acting jittery, avoiding eye contact, or becomes overly fidgety, she may be terrified that her hidden life will come to light. You may notice her becoming more cautious with her phone, avoiding certain topics, or even becoming overly agreeable in an effort to smooth things over. The problem with this fear is that it's all-consuming, and it makes her even more unpredictable. Every time you ask a question, she feels cornered, and her emotions may bubble over. See you in the next video.